Pokemon is a game series that means a lot to me. Soul Silver was the first game I ever owned, and I have so many fond memories from that time. Me meeting Totodile, objectively the best starter Pokemon, don't fight me. Whitney, the normal-type gym leader, absolutely destroying my team. Encountering the 3 legendary good boys in the Burned Tower. The National Park and the bug-catching contest that would only happen on Tuesdays and Saturdays. The shiny Gyarados in the Lake of Rage. And again, Whitney. Look at those devilish eyes. What is she pumping into that Miltank? There were so many slow and meditative moments in that game, so many high-octane battles, and so much game to play. Which is why Soul Silver has remained one of my favorite games of all time. And next came Pokemon White, the first game I actually bought with my own money. I had a very similar connection to this game as I did Soul Silver. I think I played this game even more than I did Silver because it was just so much fun. The environment and setting were more bold and striking, and in many aspects it improves upon the previous Pokemon formula. It definitely set a decent bar for storytelling in a Pokemon game, a bar that hasn't really been crossed yet. Sprite art was the best it has ever been, and the Pokemon were good. They were not that bad. Trubbish is rubbish, and so were a lot of the upcoming games in the series. Well, actually, that's not true. For a lot of fans, Pokemon games have kind of been on cruise control for the last 5 years. Not bad, but not groundbreaking either. So while other Nintendo IPs were having their renaissance periods, with Breath of the Wild changing the video game landscape entirely for immersive open-world games, Game Freak the same year released Ultra Sun and Moon on the Nintendo 3DS. I know it's not really fair to compare Breath of the Wild with Pokemon Ultra Sun, but this was the time that all eyes were on Pokemon to see if they would make the leap onto the Nintendo Switch with a Splash? Or with a... Yeah, maybe Nintendo should have waited for the ice to melt. Maybe spending more time to improve textures or making dynamic battle animations would have ended with a better end product. A growing hate resentment towards Game Freak grew as more and more information was released about the game. The pre-release of Sword and Shield was defined by the Game Freak lied hashtag that trended on Twitter. I'm not Japanese, so I can't really translate the exact interview, but a resurfaced line from Omori stated that the animations were created from scratch. Wireframes for animations were ripped directly from the 3DS games. But there is also a Kotaku article stating that the translation may actually be incorrect and that he never said anything about creating new animations. But hating Sword and Shield for ripping animations from the 3DS Pokemon games is not really an entirely valid reason to boycott the company. The animation it works for what it is. Most of them don't look amazing, but, they're passable. So then Game Freak was like... Removing the national dex was no doubt the biggest mistake Game Freak made. Copying and pasting certain animations? I can live with that. Cutting out hundreds of Pokemon? Not so much. Pokemon fans have a deep spot in their hearts for their favorite Pokemon. Pokemon that may not even be well represented or recognized. For example, Pokemon like Sunkern or Poochyena even have their fans. Every Pokemon is somebody's favorite Pokemon. So when Game Freak just spams the Thanos snap and then shows trailers with Pikachu and the 7th new Charizard form, what's the point for fans whose favorite Pokemon or even multiple favorite Pokemon are cut from the game entirely because they don't matter to Game Freak? But hey, there were still people like me who were waiting to play this game despite the terrible pre-release, and once we got it into our grubby little hands, it was okay. Kanto was Japan, Unova was Nueva York, Alola was Hawaii, and the Galar region is the United Kingdom.
The wonky donkey.
The setting and UK influence of this game is really neat. The environments are what at least they were trying to achieve with the environments were admirable. Areas like Hammerlock, which is a castle-based city in the center of Galar, and Winden, a giant sports arena city, are visually stimulating. There are also a whole variety of areas from Circhester, which is an ice city. It's ice. Oh, and there's also this cool fantasy forest glowy mushroom city, which is pretty cool. Where this game really shines, though, is with its battles. It's clear that the concept behind this game and focus were on making sure that the players felt the thrill and adrenaline of battle, and I think they succeeded in many ways. I love how battles with gym leaders took place in giant sports arenas with hordes of people watching, and how they begin to chant with the music when you Dynamax. That is really cool. In the final championship tournament, Hop, Marnie, and Beatty battle you one after the other leading up to Leon. That was definitely a highlight of the game for me. There are also little details, like how you would have to change into your uniform, or how you'd begin in your locker room and have to walk out onto the field. They added to the sense of scale to these battles that I think would be a great trend to continue onto future Pokemon games. Gym leaders were cool. They were all pretty expressive and memorable. I just wish that they would have ended the trend of having gym leaders be type-oriented, and instead would have a whole range of Pokemon. Because it's entirely possible to just Dynamax a Pokemon that is effective against the gym leader's type and just sweep. Adding challenge to these gym leaders by varying their Pokemon would have added to your feeling of reward once you beat them. That's probably what made Soul Silver so memorable for me. Once I finally made it to the top of the hill and looked down, I saw how far I climbed. At the end of most modern Pokemon games, the hill is only a foot off the ground. Sword and Shield for 90% of this game is a cakewalk. It's not until the last few parts of the game that it becomes semi-challenging, but by then it's too late. If they made the beginning sections more challenging, I think it would have added to that overall sense of reward. One thing I've learned from playing games and being on the internet is that it's really easy to get warped into the internet mob mentality. I refuse to spiral into that internet cynicism for this game, and I'm glad I didn't, because if I had, I wouldn't be having a great time with this game. Honestly, the whole National Dex thing didn't really bother me too much, because even though nearly all my favorite Pokemon were cut from the game, I made new ones. Milotic became one of my favorite Pokemon, period. Obstagoon is cool. I completely slept on Noivern in X and Y, and Grookey is the best starter.
Monkey.
The giant wild areas are so cool and just, fun to wander around in. There's something about seeing Pokemon in their natural habitats, just minding their own business, that creates a whole new level of immersion. Seeing a level 60 Gyarados swimming in the lake with a Lapras and Steelixes just wandering around the environment really strikes me as the next step for Pokemon. I was hesitant about Dynamax Pokemon at first, but I've really grown to like them. As I mentioned, this game's focus is really on Pokemon battles, and Dynamaxing Pokemon really heightens that thrill. The Dynamax raids, which I thought were super dumb when revealed in the trailers, turned out to be one of my favorite parts of the game. It works super well when you match with other trainers with their own Pokemon, and you all have to work together to take down this one giant rare Pokemon. You can even Dynamax your own Pokemon during the battle to make for some pretty clutch moments. Raids don't work as well when you have NPCs fighting alongside you, since they die really easily, but as long as you have Wi-Fi, you'll have a good time. Battle Tower is fun. Toby Fox knocked it out of the park with the theme. There's a decent amount of post-game stuff to do. The online component is great if you want to battle and trade against other players. Customization options are vast, which I really appreciated. And there's this feature where you can create your own league card, which you can trade with other players. It's really neat. There's one thing, though, that I've purposefully not talked about. Okay, I have to admit it. I like Team Yell. Maybe it's because I love Marnie and she's my favorite character in this game. Boy! But it's clear Game Freak embraced the cheese with Team Yell. I thought Team Skull was kind of annoying in Sun and Moon. I know a lot of people like them, but they were kind of a nuisance to me. Team Yell was just dumb and funny. They didn't take themselves too seriously, and I liked their placement in the story and their commentary on English football hooliganism. And, to a certain extent, stan culture as well. Okay, I talked about what I liked. Give me some freedom, unique experiences that will only occur during my playthrough. Give me intense moments where I'm backed against a wall, but I invent some strategy that narrowly gets me through a gym battle. Stop making Pokemon games event-driven, make them player-driven. The past 5 years have felt like I've been tied with rope to the same roller coaster ride, going through it again and again. Let me decide what I want to do, incentivize me to replay these games without having to re-experience the same boring story. Remove Gym Leader's reliance on types so I don't spam Vine Whip to sweep a whole water-type team. Make some memorable moments through challenge and difficulty that I would be excited to talk about. Remove EXP share or make it an endgame item. Remove regular Pokemon routes because they are so linear and so boring compared to the wild areas. And remove repetitive battles that don't challenge me at all and instead incentivize me to just pick the strongest move and spam it till I win. Okay. Overall, you get what you get with this game. Battles are fun for a short time when the difficulty is boosted at the end of the game. Music is bopping, customization is really fun, Pokemon are cool, online is decent, wild areas are interesting, and a select few of the characters are endearing. Is it the Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey for the Pokemon series? No, it definitely needed more polish all around. A lot like a game I just covered, Sword and Shield would have benefited from more development time. I'm seeing a weird pattern in AAA game development. I don't know if Game Freak will ever budge on the difficulty for these games, considering how long it's been since we had a challenging Pokemon game. Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu seem to suggest Game Freak isn't interested. Or it might even be Nintendo making sure these games stay accessible for younger audiences. But hey, in my opinion, I think there's a place for the Pokemon Sleeps and the Pokemon Brush Your Teeths, alongside this damned cow from hell. I guess we'll have to just keep fighting till, there's more focus on strategy and what is meant to be a strategy game. However, Sword and Shield does give me a little hope in the future of Pokemon as a franchise. This game has disappointed a lot of people, I know, but I see a decent amount of potential. Game Freak's scope is slowly widening. The parts that I enjoyed about this game are the things they changed from the previous formula, and the parts that I hated were parts of that pre-existing formula. And to be completely honest, I had more fun in this game than I did Sun and Moon and X and Y. The groundwork is here for an amazing Pokemon game. It's just a matter of time before we see it fully realized.